game for those who seek to find a way to leave their world behind. Jumanji.
How Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, was filmed. Is there anywhere it hasn't been filmed? Yet the green screen was still twitching in post-production. It's time to deal with it. Editor, if you please, roll the intro.
Movies Inside Out presents
Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is an American adventure film released in 2017. However, the premiere of this fantasy movie could never have happened. In this video, we'll tell you who and why wanted to sabotage the release, as well as other interesting facts. Get comfortable and let's get started.
Don't just stand there. In you go!
The creation story. The story of Jumanji is based on Chris Van Allsburg's children's book, and the filmmakers started to plan the sequel almost immediately after its premiere in 1995. In 1999, they were developing a sequel about the US president named John Cooper, who buys the game from an antique shop in Europe and brings it to the White House for his children. Not only was the plot developed, but also designs of hybrid animals, which were intended to be animated using computer graphics. However, progress stalled as various directors and writers came to the project and left it. In 2022, director Dennis Dugan breathed life into the sequel when he presented his version with Robin Williams playing the lead role. However, Sony Pictures failed to bring the actor back to the project, and the studio shifted its focus to adapting another book by Charles Van Allsburg, Zathura, a space adventure. 10 years later, rumors began circulating that there would be a remake of Jumanji, and on August 1st, it was confirmed that Matt Tolmach would produce a new version together with William Dietler, the producer of the original film. In August 2015, the premiere date was announced, December 25, 2016. However, the reception of this news was quite negative, as it came too soon after the death of the star of the original film, Robin Williams. Even Bradley Pierce, who starred alongside Williams in the 1995 Jumanji, called the remake unnecessary and somewhat disrespectful. However, the process was already in motion. What's more, the film was not a remake, but a sequel set 21 years after the original film. Jake Kasdan was hired as the director, and Scott Rosenberg and Jeff Pinkner as the screenwriters. Their script is based on a project by the authors of the original version, Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. By the way, the creators of Welcome to the Jungle didn't forget about Robin Williams, dedicating the film to his memory. Originally, James Newton Howard was announced as the composer. You might remember his work for films like Pretty Woman, The Devil's Advocate, The Sixth Sense, and others. However, when the premiere was postponed for a year, he had to leave the project due to his schedule. He was replaced by Henry Jackman. Casting. Director Jake Kasdan said that the actors chosen for each of the lead roles were exactly who he wanted. Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart were the first to join the cast, although both had other offers at the time. Johnson found his character, Spencer, as Dr. Smolder Bravestone very interesting and similar to himself. He recalled that at the age of 15 to 16, he looked like an adult man, but inside remained a vulnerable teenager trying to find himself. By the way, the character's name, Smolder, was coined by Dwayne himself, and the actor's paycheck was $20 million. As for Hart, he played the avatar of Fridge, Franklin Mouse Finbar. In fact, his nickname is a tribute to the American footballer William Perry, who was known as the Refrigerator or simply Fridge.
See you later, refrigerator. Sorry.
Next, Nick Jonas was approved for the role of Alex Vreek's avatar, Jefferson McDonough. Initially, Tom Holland auditioned for the role, but he had to withdraw his consent due to his work on Spider-Man: Homecoming. Then, Jack Black was chosen for the role of Professor Sheldon Shelley Oberon. According to Dwayne Johnson, this is his second favorite character that he would have been interested in playing. Black also enjoyed playing 16-year-old self-absorbed girl Bethany, exploring her character. He talked to the actress who played the same role but in the real world, Madison Eisman, asking her about her favorite music and TV shows. In addition, he had to work on his comedian skills. Jack mentioned that the script of Jumanji reminded him of the 1985 teen comedy drama film The Breakfast Club. By the way, despite Bethany being portrayed as somewhat careless, she's not as simple as she seems. In one of the early scenes, she finishes a test before the rest of the students in the class, and throughout the plot, she suggests many illogical solutions and generally acts like a perceptive person. Shailene Woodley was originally supposed to play Ruby Roundhouse's avatar, but she had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts with the series Big Little Lies. She was replaced by Karen Gillan. In fact, the original Jumanji is one of her favorite movies, and she considered it an honor to continue its legacy. As a Scottish person, Gillan had to use an American accent and diligently train with a coach. For the role of Anthony Fridge Johnson in the real world, the filmmakers chose Sir Darius Blaine, and for the role of the guide in Nigel's Game, they took Rhys Darby. Morgan Turner played shy intellectual Marthin Capley. Alex Wolff portrayed gamer Spencer. Barbie Cannavale played the main antagonist Russell Van Pelt, and Tim Matheson joined the cast as Alex's father. The filming process. Filming for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle began in September 2016 in Hawaii. In the movie, you can see the Kualoa Ranch, where many other famous films were shot. For example, Jurassic Park, Godzilla, and the original 1995 Jumanji. The entire film crew was on edge because of creepy crawling insects, and the set was visited by wild pigs several times. As for Dwayne Johnson, he was happy to work in Hawaii because he spent his childhood there. The actor also mentioned that he was happy about the fact that shooting major film projects had a positive effect on the local economy. Other filming locations included Canada, New Mexico, Southern California, and the city of Atlanta. For example, it was where they shot the scene with the fight on the market. By the way, all the school scenes were shot in the same location as the films Goosebumps and Goosebumps 2: Haunted Halloween. These locations were familiar to Jack Black and Madison Iseman, as they appeared in these movies. The actors on set had many laughs, which is not surprising as Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart are friends off-screen, which explains their on-screen chemistry. Jack Black, on the other hand, joked that he didn't even have to pretend in scenes where his character had a crush on Johnson's character.
Like it or not, we have to do this together.
Could you say that one more time, please?
Additionally, Black thoroughly enjoyed filming the scene where Bethany teaches Karen Gillan's character flirting. Some of his lines were in the script, but many of them were improvised. Karen Gillan's favorite scene was the dance fighting. It starts as a light dance, and after that, the girl defeats two guys. Because of that scene, the actress felt very strong. By the way, she dedicated so much more time to learning movements for the fight scenes than her colleagues, although Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart also regularly trained. Ruby's fighting style, portrayed by Karen, is a blend of several martial arts techniques, mainly the Brazilian capoeira. To manifest respect for the wild nature, all the animal skins worn by the characters on screen were made of synthetic materials. As for Ruby's outfit, it was inspired by Lara Croft. When the first trailers came out, it sparked some controversy, and Karen Gillan herself admitted that it turned out too revealing and impractical. However, the idea was to create an exaggerated, sexy, and stereotypical image of a woman from video games of the 90s. One of those women will be my love forever. Other characters also have their distinctive items. For example, Kevin Hart calls his backpack an unsung hero, which helped him improvise. Unsung, he says, but how about a backpack that sings?
On a backpack loaded up with things and knickknacks too.
He also wears a patch with a piece of cake on his vest, hinting at his weakness for sweets. As for Jack Black, he wore a pith helmet, the same one he wore as a child in a 1982 TV commercial for a video game. Another interesting thing is the set decorations. For example, the statues in the jungle are copies of the game pieces from the original movie Jumanji. At the camp, there is a sign that reads, "Alan Parrish was here," referencing Robin Williams' character, who was stuck in the game for 26 years. The film has other references to the 1995 film. For example, the landscape of Jumanji looks just like in the board game. Parrish's sworn enemy was a hunter named Van Pelt, just like in Welcome to the Jungle. Additionally, in the very first scene, we can see the board game itself. The 40-foot jaguar statue's head was made from a combination of sculpted foam and concrete. To make it look like an old stone, the creators painted it with a plaster paint. Alex's tree house was made from recycled items found on the island where the filming took place. Some scenes were particularly challenging. For example, the one where Dwayne Johnson's character jumps off a motorcycle and lands on the statue was very much real. To accomplish this, the creators needed a stuntman, a smaller statue, and wires which were later erased in post-production. For the scenes with albino rhinos, the actors spent several days harnessed into a customized, full-size helicopter on the platform elevated 20 feet in the air. During that period, Kevin Hart was seriously ill. When Jack Black's character got eaten by a hippo, the actor was suspended from the wires. He wriggled as if he were inside the animal's mouth, and the hippo was later added in post-production. Movie mistakes and errors. In the film, you can notice both simple continuity mistakes and errors in the plot. Let's start with the continuity mistakes. When Spencer and Mr. Freak are talking near the house, Mr. Freak doesn't have his red scarf in one shot, but has it in the next. In another scene, when Spencer is talking to Fridge, the collar of his raincoat is sometimes unbuttoned and sometimes fastened all the way up. In the earlier scene with Fridge, his necklace, which shows the number 94, is initially on backwards. But after the cut, the number is facing forward. Bethany's first appearance also didn't go without a continuity error. When she takes a selfie, she turns the mug handle towards herself, and that is to the left of the viewer. However, in the previous shot, the handle was already turned to the left. When the girl enters the gym, she holds a phone in her right hand. In the next shot, it disappears and later reappears. In Bethany's classes during the game, you can often see reflections of the director's monitors. And in the scene where bikers attack the heroes, a rocket knocks the map out of her avatar's hands. But in the next shot, we see the map is back. You can sometimes see members of the film crew on screen. For example, when Spencer and Fridge as avatars try to escape from 4 armed bikers, and after Ruby is dragged behind a motorcycle. When Ruby fights 2 men after her light dance, in some shots you can see the face of the actress's stunt double. Throughout the entire helicopter escape scene, there are numerous shots where you can see that the actors are on the set with a green screen because the background doesn't move fast enough. Alex's minivan has New Hampshire plates, but there's a sticker with a New York registration number on the windshield. Also, during the scene at the market, the shelf that falls on Fridge breaks apart. In the next shot, it's somehow fixed. When the gamer is playing on an old console at the beginning of the film, he uses a PlayStation controller, although the console is definitely different. Moreover, when the console reappears in the film, the controllers are already correct. By the way, the console has wood grain accents, but video game companies stopped using them by the late 1980s, while the film's story begins in 1996.
That's interesting.
It's all a mess. He's definitely playing on the first PlayStation. Then he gets a cartridge, even though the PS only used discs, and he pushes that cartridge into some kind of box that looks like an Atari. I'd give a C- to the creators for misleading the players. In Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, there are several plot holes noticed by movie lovers. For example, it's unclear why the main villain sleeps with a valuable artifact in his hands, and in the scene with the jaguars, he could have ordered the animals to devour the entire team and just take the stone. It's also unclear why the bikers couldn't catch up with the running heroes. Even in the game, they should have been faster. Also, there are some issues with Alex's life in the game. The film never mentioned that the seasons don't change there, so Alex should have understood how long he had been in the game. Moreover, considering Jumanji's logic, it would have been impossible for him to find Alan Parrish's old house. Some scenes are sometimes considered errors, while they are actually not. For example, it's not surprising that when after the game characters jump from a cliff into the water, they are completely dry a few minutes later. After all, they are in a virtual world. Some say that in one scene, Alex references Will Smith's song, Gettin' Jiggy With It, which was released a year after his disappearance, so he couldn't have known it. However, the character simply uses the word jiggy, which was a popular slang term in the 90s. There's also a misconception that cartridge-based games do not require loading, so it's incorrect that the teenagers see this loading screen when they start Jumanji. But in reality, there was at least one game, the 1995 Batman Forever, that had a loading screen. The suit with bat nipples in Batman Forever left me traumatized forever. I want to be honest with the viewers. They have the right to know. What received the most criticism was the physically impossible helicopter maneuvers. It smashes through the doors of the barn, crashes into trees, and flies sideways. Although in real life, the rotor blades should have broken and the helicopter should have crashed. And of course, it wouldn't be possible to repair it in flight. But after all, this is not a real aircraft. It's just an artifact in a video game, and it doesn't follow the rules of real life. Deleted scenes and bloopers. Viewers have access to two versions of the film: the theatrical cut, which runs for 1 hour and 59 minutes, and the extended cut, running for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Among the deleted scenes was the one where Fridge runs down the school corridor and bumps into Martha. In fact, it was in the trailer, but didn't make it into the final cut. There were plenty of bloopers in Welcome to the Jungle. Actors simply couldn't hold back their laughter in funny situations.
The fate of Jumanji is in your hands. The goal for you, I'll recite in verse. Return the jewel and lift the curse.
Or when they couldn't say a line correctly on the first try.
In my 16 years on the I hate you for making me say this.
In one scene, the car wouldn't start and move on the first attempt.
It's good.
The creators of the film revealed that there were alternative endings, leaving intrigue for a sequel. They wanted to convey the idea that you might not be able to escape the game. So, in one of the alternate endings, a lot of attention was paid to Dwayne Johnson's character contemplating staying in the game. Karen Gillan later remarked that it would have been interesting and would hint at a sequel. In addition, the filmmakers discussed a plot twist at the end where all the characters could be sucked back into the game again. There were several ideas about how this would happen. In one of them, when Spencer and Martha are kissing, everyone hears the drum sounds again, and the characters' phones download the game. After that, everyone panics, fearing they will be sucked back in. Despite the director ultimately choosing a closed ending, it didn't hinder the production of a sequel. Jumanji: The Next Level was released in 2019, and another sequel has been announced, but the release date is unknown. Worldwide recognition. The premiere of Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle took place in December 2017 after several delays. At the end of the year, it became the 5th highest grossing film, earning $403.5 million in the USA and Canada alone. Worldwide, it grossed over $995 million. The budget varies in different sources, estimated between $90 and $150 million. It's also interesting that when Jumanji climbed to the top of the box office, it faced serious competition from the musical The Greatest Showman and Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Oh, they are just as last as the news every evening. We all know that they plan new sequels 20 years ahead. Critics noted the charming cast and comedic elements, but overall reviews were mixed. The film was mostly criticized for the lack of intrigue, but it was also noted that it exceeded expectations more than could have been imagined. The Saturn Awards nominated Welcome to the Jungle for Best Fantasy Film, while the MTV Movie Awards gave nominations to the cast and Jack Black for his comedic role. Dwayne Johnson won at the Teen Choice Awards and the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. The latter also honored Jumanji as the favorite movie. The actors who played avatars in the game were already famous. Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black have had successful careers, while Karen Gillan gained fame thanks to the series Doctor Who. Nick Jonas is more famous as a singer, but occasionally appears in films, and Jumanji became one of his most successful projects. The school kids were played by lesser-known actors, and since then, their careers had developed differently. Alex Wolff, for example, appeared in Nolan's Oppenheimer, while Morgan Turner was last seen on the screen in the film Jumanji: The Next Level. Welcome to the Jungle revived the long-forgotten franchise about the cursed game. However, it doesn't try to capitalize on the nostalgic feelings of fans of the original film, but offers a new story with new characters. Which one do you like the most, the 1995 Jumanji or the modern sequel?